I stood in front of the cracked mirror of my tiny apartment, the morning light pouring in through the single window, illuminating every imperfection. My name is Isabelle Thorn, and as I looked at my reflection, I was not just seeing a 30-year-old woman with tousled hair and tired eyes. I was seeing a woman on the verge of something monumental. The gritty sidewalks of Oak Ridge, stretched out beneath me like memories I was desperate to leave behind, shadows of failures mixed with glimmers of ambition. "Today is the day," I whispered to myself, my voice shaky yet resolute. I took in a deep breath, the scent of stale coffee lingering in the air, mingling with something sharp, a reminder of all the years that transformed me into a silhouette of the girl I used to be. It was almost 7 in the morning, and I could hear the sleepy hum of my old heater, fighting against the autumn chill that crept in through the cracks of the window frames. My heart raced with a mixture of excitement and dread as I pulled on my worn leather jacket. I could almost hear my mother's voice, cautious and hesitant, as she would remind me not to rush into decisions made in the heat of anger. "Isabelle, sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do," she would say, her soft tone wrapping around me like a warm blanket. I missed her. Yet today, there was no turning back. I grabbed my bag and stepped out into the crisp morning air, the chill biting against my cheeks. I was bound for a meeting that would change everything. Oak Ridge was waking up, and so was my determination. The streets buzzed with life, the chatter of people mingling with the sound of rustling leaves in the wind. I walked past the corner coffee shop, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee tempting me, but I kept walking. I needed clarity. My mind was racing with thoughts of Jack. My ex-lover, turned traitor, had slashed through my heart with a betrayal so deep that all I could feel was a dull ache that had manifested into a blazing rage. Jack had taken everything from me, including my trust, and today was the day I would reclaim my power. "Isabelle?" A voice interrupted my thoughts. I turned to see Tanya, my childhood friend and confidant, rolling up on her bike. "Hey, where are you off to in such a hurry?" Tanya's bright smile was infectious. She had this effortless energy that could spark joy even on the gloomiest of days. "I have a meeting," I replied, trying to keep my tone casual. "Oh right, that big thing you've been planning?" The excitement in her voice was palpable. "Yeah, something like that." My stomach did a little flip as I thought about what I was about to do. "You look a little pale, you okay?" she asked, her eyes narrowing in concern. I forced a smile, even though inside I felt like a tornado was brewing. "Just need to get some air." "I'll be fine." Tanya clearly wasn't buying it, but I appreciated her concern. She leaned her bike against the lamppost and reached for my arm. "You know I am always here for you, right? Just say the word." I nodded, grateful for her unwavering support. "Thanks, Tanya, I just have a lot on my mind." "You've got this, Isabelle," she encouraged, a spark of belief in her voice that momentarily lifted the weight from my shoulders. "Just don't forget to breathe." I took in a deep breath, the cool air filling my lungs, and exhaled slowly. "I won't. See you later?" "Absolutely. Just don't do anything too crazy." Tanya laughed, her infectious giggle resonating in my ears as I waved goodbye and continued down the street. As I reached the dilapidated office building where the meeting was set to take place, my heart raced even faster. The facade was weathered, its cracks telling stories of better days long gone. I could almost hear the whispers of those who had come before me, dreamers who tried their luck only to be swallowed up by the oppressive weight of disappointment. This building was home to Jack's new venture, a slick startup that had replaced the humble deli where we used to share dreams over greasy sandwiches. It was where betrayal festered. As I entered the building, the lobby smelled of polished wood and fresh paint, but there was a discordant edge as well, a stale undertone of anxious energy. I felt like an actress stepping onto a stage, the spotlight glaring down, all eyes on me. My heart thudded in my chest as the receptionist, a disinterested young woman with dark circles under her eyes, looked up briefly before returning to her phone. "Who are you here to see?" she droned. "I have a meeting with Jack Mercer," I replied, my voice steady despite the chaos surging inside me. The receptionist's eyes flicked up, a sharp glint momentarily piercing her indifference. "4th floor, room 10. You can take the elevator over there," she pointed without looking, her voice a monotonous drone. I felt a rush of adrenaline as I walked toward the elevator, taking one last look around the lobby. The desperation of starting anew clung to the air, and I could feel it thrumming through my veins. The elevator doors slid shut, and with every jolt upward, I could feel my resolve thicken. "This is it," I whispered to myself, staring at the numbers lighting up above me. The elevator dinged as I reached the 4th floor, and I stepped out, my breath disappearing for a moment as the atmosphere shifted. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the prickle of apprehension along my spine. Room 10 was at the end of a long corridor, and with each step I felt more powerful. No more fear, no more weakness, no more letting Jack dictate my emotions. As I approached the door, I paused for a moment to steady myself. "You can do this, Isabelle," I murmured, pushing my shoulders back and opening the door. Inside, Jack sat at a long conference table, his handsome face set in a maze of concentration as he reviewed papers. His designer suit tailored to perfection looked both a little too tight and a little too casual, cocky arrogance radiating from him. He glanced up as I entered, the surprise in his eyes quickly morphing into a smirk. "Isabelle, what a pleasant surprise," he said, his voice oozing with insincerity. "You look different. Did you change your hair?" "Only changed my direction," I replied coolly, walking further into the room, leaning against the edge of the table. The scent of his cologne made my stomach churn, a smell that used to remind me of passion but now felt like poison. "What do you want?" he asked, feigning nonchalance and gesturing to a chair across from him, as if I were a guest and not someone whose trust he had shattered. "We have unfinished business, Jack." I locked eyes with him, my heart racing, not with love, but with the fierce pulse of determination. Closure was overdue, and it was time for me to exact my revenge. "You mean the property, the deal we discussed?" His tone was mocking, a twisted amusement dancing in his gaze. "You always knew how to keep things interesting. Is this all you care about? Money, status, success?" I challenged, feeding off the energy that crackled between us, my voice steady and firm. "Money, status, success. It is a game, Isabelle, when you never really understood." The words dripped from his lips like honey mixed with venom, and I could feel my rage boiling beneath the surface. "Don't tell me you've come to beg for advice." I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "No, I am here to take back what is mine." The tension in the room escalated like a thick fog, and I could see the flicker of doubt ripple across Jack's face. For a moment, I could almost reach out and touch the uncertainty swirling in his dark blue eyes. "You think you can just waltz in here and make demands?" he retorted, the cockiness in his voice wavering just slightly. "I think I can." I leaned closer, lowering my voice to almost a whisper, daring him to look away. "This is no longer about you and me, but all about what you owe me." I had his attention, and I relished it. "What do you really want, Isabelle?" His tone shifted, curiosity intertwining with arrogance. "Your life destroyed, or do you simply want me to relinquish control?" It felt as if the air had thickened, the stakes rising higher than ever before. I let a slow, wicked smile spread across my lips, knowing then that I was ready to light the match. "Oh, Jack, this is not about destroying your life. Not yet, anyway. This is about teaching you a lesson. Remember that." I watched as he shifted uncomfortably in his seat, the facade cracking ever so slightly. A thrilling rush coursed through my veins. I was in the driver's seat now. No longer haunted by past toils and suffering, I was reclaiming my power, one calculated move at a time. "You have no idea who you are dealing with," he shot back, bravado slipping. "No, Jack, the truth is, you have no idea who I have become." The game was on, and I felt triumphant as the boundaries of our new reality began to shift. The victory was mine to claim. And this time, there would be no escape for him. I sat on the edge of my bed, the soft creaking of the old wood sending a shiver up my spine, reminding me of the past I wanted to escape. The faint smell of lavender from the tiny sachets I had placed in my drawers hung in the air, blending with the more pungent scent of regret. Sunlight streamed through my sheer curtains, casting ghostly patterns on the floor and illuminating the chaos of my thoughts. I could hear the faint rustling of leaves outside, the trees in my neighborhood swaying slowly, almost lazily, as if they were unaware of the storm brewing inside me. I remembered when I had first moved to Oak Ridge, a small town where everyone knew everyone else. A place that seemed peaceful on the surface, but hid secrets deeper than I had anticipated. I pushed my long dark hair back from my face, taking a deep breath, feeling nervous energy coursing through me like electricity. Today was the day I would confront Thomas, the man who had shattered my trust and turned my world upside down. The very reason I sat here, plotting a revenge that had brewed inside me like a dark storm. The clock on my nightstand ticked loudly, each second echoing in my mind as I glanced at my phone. I had texted him earlier. "Can we meet?" It was short and to the point, a frigid dagger in my heart that had left no room for sentiment. Moments later, the screen lit up with his reply. "Sure, where and when?" My fingers hovered over the keys, a wave of memories crashing over me. Each memory was a reminder of the betrayal, the moments he had pretended to love me while falling into the arms of my best friend, Clara. A hint of nausea bubbled in my stomach, but I pushed it down. I couldn't let my past weakness make me hesitate now. The cafe on Main Street. At 2. My heart raced even faster as I envisioned his face when he saw me again. We had shared laughter, dreams, and countless second chances, but he had chosen someone else instead. I could still picture that moment, that unbearable moment when I had walked in on them, my heart shattering and scattering like fragile glass. I remembered the laughter that had echoed through my home, the warmth of their joy wrapping around me like a noose. Now, only silence answered, as the weight of betrayal filled my chest. I had spent months planning today, gathering strength through sheer will. Thomas had taken so much from me, I deserved to take something back. It was time. I stood, my legs shaky but determined, and slipped into my jeans and a fitted dark shirt, a wardrobe that spoke volumes about confrontation. I applied a touch of mascara, framing my emerald eyes that had seen too much hurt. Looking in the mirror, I saw not just a woman, but a warrior cloaked in the remnants of who I used to be. As I walked outside, the crisp air bit at my cheeks, energizing me, pushing me forward like a surfacing tide. The cafe was only a 5-minute walk away, but it felt like an eternity with every step. I replayed our last argument in my head, Thomas's angry voice piercing through my memories like the jagged shards of a broken mirror, reflecting the distorted image of a love I once cherished. The cafe appeared in view, its bright yellow awning and cheerful outdoor patio contrasting sharply with the shadows clinging to my heart. I hesitated for a heartbeat before stepping through the glass doors, each chime of the bell overhead resonating like a heartbeat in this silent arena of betrayal. The smell of freshly brewed coffee enveloped me, mixed with the sweet aroma of pastries that were painfully inviting. I scanned the room, my heart pounding louder than before as my eyes landed on him. He was sitting at a corner table, scrolling through his phone, a relaxed man in a blue button-up shirt, his brown hair neatly combed. The image should have warmed my heart. Instead, it felt as though ice water coursed through my veins. It took every ounce of courage I had to approach, the soft rush of my breath filling my ears as I willed myself to move forward. He looked up as I reached him, surprise flickering across his features before swiftly transforming into that infuriatingly charming smile, the one that had captivated me months ago. "Isabelle, hey, it's good to see you." The casualness in his voice made my palms sweat, but I clenched my fists tight enough to feel my nails biting into my skin. I refused to be that naive girl who melted at his charm again. "Good to see me?" I echoed, my voice steadier than I felt. "Is that what you call it after everything that happened?" His smile faltered, the realization sinking in like a stone in a still pond. "I know you have every right to be angry, Izzy." I hated that nickname. It felt too intimate, too soft for the feelings burning in my chest. "Angry? That's putting it mildly," I interrupted, taking a seat without waiting for an invitation. "What I have is a desire for some answers." He shifted uncomfortably, staring at his half-empty coffee cup as though it held the secrets of the universe. "I didn't think you wanted to talk about the past," he finally muttered, his voice dropping. "I don't want to, I want to talk about now. You know why I called you here. What did you think I would do? Just forget?" My heart raced as I leaned forward, lowering my voice, ready to unleash the storm I had been bottlenecking inside of me. "You broke my heart like it was nothing to you. Is that how you've been able to slink back into town, back to everyone, to Clara? Isn't she the one that you ran to when everything started falling apart?" His eyes widened, and I could see a flicker of guilt as if the moments haunted him too. He stuttered, but I wouldn't let him off that easy. "You what? You thought she'd make it all better. You thought I wouldn't find out. You made a choice, Thomas. Don't you dare pretend it was an accident." It was like a floodgate had opened, words tumbling out of me uncontrollably, tinged with pain and anger. He rubbed the back of his neck, a nervous habit I had come to recognize. "It wasn't like that. You know it was complicated." "Complicated? Do you even hear yourself? You made it complicated. You and Clara chose to betray me." I could feel the steam rising off me as the cafe patrons began to stare, their eyes flicking toward our table as my voice rose. "I stood by you when no one else would, and this is what I get in return?" "Izzy, please, I didn't mean to hurt you," he pleaded, so earnest, so infuriatingly genuine. "You have no idea what I've been through since, what you have been through." The irony of his words made me scoff. "What about me? You left me shattered and you call that complicated?" I could see him struggling with his emotions, caught between his guilt and whatever twisted reasoning had led him to destroy us. "I am sorry," he said softly, remorse seeped into every syllable. "But I can't change what happened." "No, you can't." The silence hung over us, thick like fog. I could feel the weight of my anger pressing down, suffocating. I leaned back, recoiling slightly as the urge to shrug off this conversation consumed me, but I would not let it go that easily. I wanted to give you a chance to explain, to see if you felt anything for me still. But now, my voice faltered, a crack in the armor I wore. Too many memories flooded in, the laughter, the dreams, the future we could have had, but he had taken that from me. I couldn't allow myself to feel weak. I want you to know how much damage you've caused, how broken I feel because of your cowardice. I would do anything to take it back. You know I would, he offered, desperation etched on his face as he leaned closer. I could almost taste his regret, but I refused to soften. No, it's too late for that. I had to come to terms with who I am without you, and it's not some sad story you get to rewrite. You've lost the right to ask for forgiveness. I gathered my things, the air between us charged with resentment and unspoken words, the clock ticking impatiently in the background while I stood to leave. Maybe we were never meant to be, Thomas. You chose hearts over love, and now the only thing left is this mess you've made. I turned on my heels, leaving him behind, the anger pulsing in my veins like a siren's call urging me forward. I had gone to confront him and convey my pain, but I felt a slight sense of satisfaction forging paths in my heart. For too long, I had felt powerless, but now the tide seemed to be turning. It was not just about revenge, it was about rising from the ashes of betrayal and claiming my place in the world. Oakridge would remember Isabelle Thorn, not as the girl who was trampled on, but as the woman who redefined her narrative. The sun was dipping low in the sky, casting long shadows over the cobblestone streets of Oakridge, and I could feel the air growing thicker with the weight of my thoughts. My heart thumped with a restless urgency as I walked toward the cafe where I had agreed to meet Nathan. He was the only person in this small town who still believed in me, who still saw beyond the mask I wore. The cafe was a quaint little place with faded yellow paint peeling from the shutters, and the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the aroma of pastries that filled the air. As I pushed open the door, the warm, inviting atmosphere surrounded me, but I could feel my stomach nodding in anticipation. Isabelle, Nathan called from a corner table, his eyes brightening at my arrival. He sat amid the noise of clinking coffee cups and gentle chatter, looking like a lighthouse in the stormy seas of my past. His tousled hair fell over one brow, and he had that familiar crooked smile that lifted my spirits despite everything swirling around us. "Hey," I managed to say, sliding into the chair opposite him. I could feel the plush seat welcoming me, yet my mind was a whirlwind of dark thoughts. "Thanks for coming." "Always," he replied, his voice warm, but there was something about his expression that told me he sensed the heaviness hanging over me. "You look tense. What's going on?" I took a shaky breath, glancing around to ensure nobody was eavesdropping on our conversation. "It's about Michael and Sarah," I said, my voice dropping to a whisper. Naming them felt like opening an old wound. "I can't keep living under this cloud they've put over my head." Nathan leaned in, his expression serious. "What do you mean? Are you still worried about what they might do?" I closed my eyes briefly, the memories flooding back like an unwelcome tide. "They ruined my life, Nathan. They made everyone believe I was the villain in our story while they played the innocent victims. Do you know how hard it is to be trapped in that narrative? Even here, I feel it every day. People look at me differently." He looked pained, his brow furrowing as he rubbed the back of his neck. "I can't believe they would stoop so low. You don't deserve any of this." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. "Deserve? That word doesn't even begin to cover it. I've spent too long watching them walk free while I'm stuck in this nightmare. I want them to know how it feels, Nathan. I want them to suffer the way I did." His eyes widened slightly, and for a moment I thought I might have gone too far, but I could see the flicker of understanding in his gaze. "Are you sure that's what you want, Isabelle? Revenge can consume you." I leaned back in my seat, trying to process his words. "Sometimes I think it's the only way I can regain control. You know what they did to me. Everyone else may have forgotten, but I can't. My life was shattered because of them." "Then maybe you need to let it go," he urged softly. "I know it's hard, but revenge might not heal your wounds, it could deepen them. What do you really want?" I could feel a rush of heat prickling my skin. "I want them to hurt, Nathan. They need to experience the agony they caused me. Until they do, I will never find peace." Anger bubbled in my chest as I spoke, transforming into something potent, a driving force. Nathan sighed, a hint of worry hanging in the air between us. "There's got to be another way, Isabelle. You're better than this vengeance." "No, I am not," I responded sharply, my voice rising. "I am not better than this. They took everything from me. I am tired of being the victim. It's time for me to play a different role in this story." He studied me for a long moment, his gaze piercing through my defenses. What do you have in mind? I leaned forward, my heart racing as I unfolded my revenge plan like a deck of playing cards laid bare on the table. I have a way to make them listen, to make them see the truth. It won't be easy, but I've been watching Sarah's movements and I think I can manipulate her. She's so self-absorbed, she won't see it coming. Nathan's expression morphed into a mixture of concern and intrigue. You're talking about manipulation now. Is that really who you want to be? I clenched my fists under the table. It is who I need to be. You don't understand. The way they play their games, they think they are untouchable. I will show them that they are not. Isabelle, I get it, but there has to be a line you draw, something that keeps you from losing yourself. His voice wavered, concern flowing through each word. I shook my head, feeling a storm of desperation and fury coiling inside me. I had spent too long battling helplessness. I won't lose myself, Nathan. I'll become someone much stronger. The captivating aroma of rich coffee wafted through the air as a server approached, breaking the intensity of our conversation. Can I get you anything else? She asked with her friendly smile, oblivious to the turmoil churning inside me. Just the check, please, I replied, my voice softer, almost defeated as I wrestled with my thoughts. I needed this. I needed an avenue for my anger, and revenge had become it. Once she left, Nathan stared at me, his brow knitted. Promise me you will think about the consequences of what you're planning. I was silent for a moment, the weight of his words pressing down on me like lead. I will think about it, but I can't promise anything. What I need now is to confront them, to throw their lies back in their faces, and I need to do it soon. Please be careful. I don't want to see you suffer more than you already have. I know, I said softly, a hint of vulnerability creeping into my tone. But I can't let them win, Nathan. I have to show them that I am not the person they painted me to be. I am ready to fight back. He gave me a look of resignation, a blend of admiration and fear. Just don't lose sight of who you really are. With those words hanging in the air like an unresolved note, I slid my hand over the table and grabbed Nathan's, squeezing it tightly. I won't. As I sat there, tension simmering in my chest, I could feel the gears of vengeance latching onto my resolve. The plan was forming, and the path ahead was fraught with danger, but there was no turning back now. The time had come to ignite the fire within, not just for my sake, but to dismantle the web of lies that had ensnared my life for far too long. I stood at the edge of the abandoned warehouse, my heart pounding in my chest like a drumbeat of both fear and anticipation. The rusting metal doors creaked as the wind nudged them, casting shadows across the cracked pavement at my feet. My mind was a turbulent sea of thoughts, each wave crashing against the sordid memories of Ian and the treachery that had consumed my life. I could still remember the warmth of his embrace, the way he had looked at me with a mixture of love and jealousy, a dangerous cocktail that had eventually turned toxic. Today was the day I would confront him, and the weight of that realization settled on my shoulders like a heavy cloak. The sun hung low in the sky, casting hues of orange and purple that felt almost surreal against my plan of vengeance. I could almost hear my heartbeat echo in the silence, a constant reminder of the ticking clock of my revenge. I pulled the collar of my jacket tighter around me to ward off the chill, which mirrored the coldness in my heart. The plan had been coming together in stray pieces, details floating around in my mind like scattered leaves. I could not let Ian get away with what he had done. I had spent too long sitting on the sidelines, waiting for justice that would never come unless I took it for myself. The scent of dust and rust filled the air as I stepped closer, the ground crunching beneath my footsteps. The memories were flooding back, memories of laughter and joy that had turned rotten with betrayal. What had once been a sanctuary of shared dreams now felt like a prison built of my own regrets. With each step towards the door, I could feel the echoes of our past pulling at my mind. Isabelle. A voice startled me from deep in my thoughts. I turned and there he was, Ian, leaning casually against the wall of the warehouse, a smirk playing on his lips. I thought you would chicken out. His words dripped with mockery and my stomach twisted in response. I'm not afraid of you, Ian, I replied, my voice steady even though my heart raced like a wild animal caged within me. You should be. A dark glint flickered in his eyes. What are you going to do? Yell at me? Throw a fit? That won't change what happened. His bravado made my blood boil, and for a moment I was struck by the urge to turn away, to leave the past buried where it belonged. But that wasn't an option anymore. I'm going to take back what you stole from me, I said, my tone fierce and resolute. You have no idea what that means, do you? His laughter echoed through the empty space, sending chills down my spine. You think you can just waltz in here and act tough? You're not the same Isabelle I remember. Maybe not, but I've learned a few things since then. I pushed my shoulders back, grounding myself in the knowledge of my purpose. What did you learn? he shot back, crossing his arms as though he were scrutinizing a foolish child. "I learned that you are a coward hiding behind your lies." His eyes narrowed, anger flaring beneath his playful facade. "You think you're better than me? I know I am." I stepped forward, closing the distance that felt like a chasm between us. "You ruined our lives for what?" I could feel the heat rising in my chest as I confronted him, each word dropping like a fist on a table. "You didn't have to destroy so much to get what you wanted." For a fleeting moment, his mask of confidence slipped, and I saw a flicker of uncertainty dance across his features. "You think this is about me wanting something?" he asked, his voice low and menacing. "This is about power, Isabelle. Nothing more, nothing less." I shook my head, feeling the familiar bile of anger rise again. "And that's your downfall, Ian. You never cared who got hurt. You mistake cruelty for strength." His tone was clipped, each word edged with something dark and tangled. I drew in a breath, brushing back loose strands of hair from my face. "Strength doesn't come from lording over others. It comes from knowing the value of people." "That's naive." He laughed, but it wasn't genuine, more a defense mechanism than anything else. "You're too sentimental, Isabelle. That's why you're going to lose." "We'll see about that." I stepped back, my heartbeat steady now. "I'm not fighting this battle alone." "You think you can rally the troops?" He laughed again, but this time it sounded anxious. Perhaps the realization that I had allies lurking in the shadows would rattle him. "You'll need more than just a lone soldier to face me." "Soldiers," I said, and for a moment our eyes locked. "And I don't fight with weapons, Ian, I fight with strategy." "Is that a threat?" He growled, stepping forward as his confidence cracked further. "You think you can intimidate me into giving up?" "You can interpret it however you like," I replied, shrugging off his bravado. "But I will have my justice." Silence washed over us then, heavy and thick, both of us simmering in our own stubbornness. The air between us crackled like static electricity, a potent mix of tension and unresolved emotions that both frightened and exhilarated me. "I'll make sure you regret this," he finally said, his voice low and dangerous, breath mingling with the chilly air. "You won't win." "You can count on that," I shot back, my conviction solidifying as I turned to leave, the shadows swallowing me as I took my first step back from the confrontation. With each stride away from him, adrenaline coursed through me, pushing me to stand taller. The confrontation had awakened something I thought I lost. A fierce determination now burned bright within me, illuminating the dark corners of my mind where fear once lay. I glanced over my shoulder, hoping that my decision to walk away would strike a blow to his fragile sense of power. I could feel Ian's fierce gaze on me, hot and burning like a branding iron, and I resisted the urge to look back again. Instead, I focused on the path ahead, a path scrawled with the jagged edges of my tumultuous feelings and the hope of a reckoning yet to come. Each step resonated with the promise that I would not only confront my past, but also dismantle it piece by piece, until nothing remained but the ashes of what used to be. I stood in front of the old Oak Ridge Library. Its tall, imposing structure loomed like an ancient sentinel watching over the town. The air was thick with an autumn chill, and the leaves crunched under my feet as I approached the entrance. I could feel my heart pounding, each thump echoing the anger and betrayal that boiled beneath the surface. This was it, the final act of retribution. I had spent months planning, pretending to play the part of the friendly neighbor, all the while lining up my pieces on this chessboard of vengeance. I pushed open the heavy wooden door, and the familiar scent of old books flooded my senses, mingling with the staleness of the air that had been trapped within these walls for decades. I had spent countless hours in this library growing up, lost in the realms of fiction, but today it felt different. Today, it was a stage for my revenge. As I stepped inside, a bell tinkled softly above me, announcing my entrance. "Isabelle," back at the library. The librarian, Mrs. Hargrove, looked up from her desk, her smile wide, still oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. "Just wanted to grab a few books for research," I replied, keeping my tone light while my insides writhed. "You know how it is." "Oh, certainly," she chirped. "You always did love your stories." I offered her a tight smile, forced but polite. As I walked deeper into the stacks, the fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows, making the spaces between the shelves feel darker, more claustrophobic. I could almost hear the whispers of the books, secrets long forgotten. I traced my fingers along the spines, searching for the one that would bring everything crashing down. Once I reached the back corner, I found what I was looking for, a dusty copy of the History of Oak Ridge. My fingers trembled slightly as I pulled it from the shelf, memories of what had once been a normal life flooding back to me. I flipped through its yellowing pages, nostalgia intertwined with the seething rage I felt for the person who had turned my world upside down, Nathaniel Dorsey. Nathaniel. My heart twisted at his name. The betrayal he had inflicted on me was still fresh, as if it had just happened yesterday. I could vividly remember the shock on my face when I learned of the underhanded deal he had orchestrated, selling out our small community for his gain. How could someone I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, sink so low? The more I thought about it, the tighter my grip became on the book I held. I made my way toward a table near the back, where the sunlight trickled in, casting a warm glow over the barren wood. I could still hear Mrs. Hargrove's voice ringing faintly from the front, chatting with a couple of library patrons. It was the perfect distraction, an even better cover for my plan. As the minutes passed, I organized the documents I had gathered. Letters, emails, plans for Nathaniel's ill-fated land grab that would destroy the local park where we played as children, something so integral to our community. The way he had used his charm to manipulate everyone around him made my skin crawl. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have ever imagined. "All right, Isabelle. Time to expose him," I whispered to myself, my voice barely a murmur against the stillness of the library. I took a deep breath and steadied my resolve. I wouldn't be afraid anymore. I would be the one to reveal his true face to everyone he had deceived. As the clock ticked away, I pulled out my phone and typed out a message to a few select individuals, the town council members I had convinced to help with my plan. "Meet me at the park. I have everything you need. Let's end this." I hit send, my heart racing as I anticipated their response. While I waited, I looked around the library, remembering all the moments I had spent here. This was the place where stories began, both good and bad. It had been my escape from reality, and today, it would be the backdrop to my story of revenge. Just then, the bell above the door jingled again, and I turned my head slightly, just enough to catch a glimpse of Nathaniel stepping through the threshold, a tall figure with an air of confidence that made my stomach churn. He looked around, his eyes scanning the shelves before landing on me. There was a moment of silence, the tension thick as syrup. He stalked towards me, still wearing that disarming smile he used far too often. "Isabelle," he said in a too casual tone, as if we were just two friends bumping into each other by chance. "What a surprise to see you here. Fancy catching up?" I clenched my teeth, forcing my expression to remain neutral. I had rehearsed for this moment over and over again in my mind. "Oh really, Nathaniel? Catching up after everything that has happened?" I could feel my voice rising, that facade of calm slipping as I fought to keep my fury contained. "Isabelle, come on," he said, his voice melodic, the charm slipping back into place. "You know how business can get. It's nothing personal, it's just what needs to be done." "Nothing personal?" I shot back, my voice a harsh whisper that echoed in the quiet library. "You sold out this town, our friends, our childhood, all for what? A fat paycheck." "Please, calm down." He reached out a hand as if to calm a frightened animal. "You're making a scene." "A scene?" I exclaimed, my words dripping with disbelief. "You think this is a game? Your greed cost us everything. You need to look at the bigger picture, Isabelle. I was trying to create a better opportunity for Oak Ridge," he continued, the smile faltering ever so slightly. "Sometimes sacrifices need to be made for progress." "Sacrifices?" I snapped, my voice rising again, the anger bubbling over. "You sacrificed our history, our memories, all for the benefit of your bank account." He took a step closer, lowering his voice, trying to exert control over the conversation. "You don't understand how the real world works, do you? I did this for the future of this town." His tone ignited my rage like a match to kindling. "You did it for yourself, Nathaniel. Don't pretend to care about the rest of us." Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I quickly glanced down to see a couple of replies from the council members. "We will be there in 30 minutes. Relief washed over me. I would not have to face Nathaniel alone for much longer. He noticed my distraction and smirked, a hint of cockiness re-emerging as he took another step towards me. "You really think you can take me down? I'm not worried about a few letters and documents. Oak Ridge belongs to me now. Everyone knows that." I took a deep breath, a wave of ice washing over me as I felt determination swell within. "And everyone will know what you truly are, Nathaniel. Your charm won't protect you this time." He laughed, a dark sound that sent chills down my spine. "You think you can turn this around on me? You think you have the upper hand?" "Yes," I said firmly, staring directly into his eyes, unyielding. "You may have manipulated everyone once, but not anymore. Not today." Just then, the library door swung open, and a couple of council members stepped inside. Their expressions shifted, registration dawning as they took in the scene, the confrontation, the brewing storm between us. Is everything all right in here?" Mr. Edwards called out, his brows furrowed in confusion. "Perfectly fine," Nathaniel replied, plastering that charming smile back on his face as if nothing had transpired. "Just having a little chat with my dear friend Isabelle." Facade made me want to retch. "It's not fine, Mr. Edwards," I interjected, taking a step toward him, the fire within me igniting once more. "I have something important to present to all of you, something that proves Nathaniel is a fraud, that he's lying to you." The council members exchanged glances, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Nathaniel stepped forward, his voice low and threatening. "You really should think twice before making accusations like that, Isabelle." Done thinking, Nathaniel. "It's time for others to know the truth." My pulse raced, adrenaline kicking in as the moment I had been building toward for months had finally arrived. "I suggest you all follow me," I said, flipping open the ancient tome and revealing the papers tucked inside. They bore witness to Nathaniel's treachery, his plans laid bare for everyone to see. "You see this? This is how Nathaniel planned to ruin our town, to destroy everything we hold dear." The council members hesitated, glancing at Nathaniel, who stood on the verge of panic, attempting to regain his composure. They moved closer, curiosity piqued, but I could sense Nathaniel's eyes screwing in on himself, mistrust emanating from his very being. "Why are you doing this, Isabelle?" he finally asked, his voice laced with desperation. "Don't you see the chaos you're about to unleash?" "It's too late for that, Nathaniel," I said fiercely, my breath steadying as I felt the tide shift. "The chaos was your doing, and now everyone will see who you are." The council members shifted uncomfortably, their heads filled with confusion and doubt as my words sank in. They couldn't turn a blind eye to the revelations that awaited them. They had trusted him too, just like I had, but the truth was irrepressible. It was like a tide that surged through lies, sweeping them away in the process. "Are you really willing to destroy your relationships, your life here for this?" Nathaniel pressed, trying one last desperate attempt to sway me back to his side. "I am more than willing," I replied firmly. "I will fight for my town, for what is right, and I will not be quieted anymore. The truth deserves to be told." With that, I plucked the papers from the book and began to hand them out to the council members, feeling the weight of their gazes on me. This was the moment of truth. I could feel it in the air, electric and charged. Nathaniel's charm was slowly unraveling, and I wanted to savor it, every second of his impending downfall. "You will regret this," he hissed under his breath, eyes flashing with fury. "No, Nathaniel," I said definitively, "I believe you will." As the council members began to flip through the documentation, disbelief and shock painted their faces. I felt a rush of exhilaration surge through me. This was the culmination of all my efforts. The chains of betrayal would finally be shattered, and Nathaniel's reign of manipulation would end. The library, filled with whispers of old tales, now bore witness to the unveiling of a more potent story, one of resilience, redemption, and unwavering bravery. Today, it was not just about revenge. It was about standing for what I believed in, about reclaiming my home and finding my own voice again. The dawn of awareness was breaking over Oak Ridge, and the scent of change was in the air, sharp and invigorating. I smiled gently at the council members, who looked up from their documents, understanding the weight of what they were holding. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" one of them said, and I could see determination rekindling in their eyes. "Yes," I said softly, my heart swelling with renewed hope as I stood my ground. "And it's a beginning we can all be proud of."